Hey, it's JD here, and I really hope you're enjoying the countdown so far. I want to tell you about something special we've got going on, though. Every year we do something called a pod list. It's a podcast playlist where I solicit you, the listener, to create your favorite pavement jams. That's right, if you are musically talented, or even if you are not. Get your band together or pick up your fucking acoustic guitar and jam your fucking balls out. That's what I want. From there, take the WAV file, email it to me at jd@meetingmalcolmist.com or send it via WeTransfer, and Bob's your uncle. That's all it takes, and you will be on the Meeting Malcolmist Pod List 5. And now, on with the countdown.
Previously on the Pavement Top 50.
Bob, what do you think about Transport as Arranged?
Jamie. I just think that I think Transport is arranged when the record was made in Kernersville, North Carolina with Mitch Easter was just kind of viewed, and the feel around it was that, okay, that's another song that definitely should be on the record, but isn't the kind of song that it, maybe should be a single or something like that. It was just a song that was like really solid and good.
Hey, this is Westy from the rock and roll band Pavement, and you're listening to the countdown.
Hey, it's JD here, back for another episode of our Top 50 Countdown for seminal indie rock band Pavement. Week over week, we're going to count down the 50 essential Pavement tracks that you selected with your very own top 20 ballots. I then tabulated the results using an abacus and gluten. Just joking, there's absolutely no gluten. Zero. How will your favorite song fare in the rankings? Well, you'll need to tune in to find out. So there's that. This week I'm joined by Pavement superfan, Zach from Amherst. Dude, how the fuck are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
It's good to be here with you.
No, it's great to be here. I'm excited to be a part of this.
Well, let's not dilly-dally. Let's get right to it and go to your Pavement Origin Story.
Yeah, I've listened to a few, and sometimes they have really good stories, but mine's like, I think I was home from break from college or something, and my brother and sister were like playing a mixed tape of things, and Cut Your Hair came on. And and it was being played on their radio station all the time. So, and so at the time we would just constantly make copies of whatever. So I had like Crooked Rain, just sort of stuck in my car forever and just wore it out. But it's kind of in the mix. And then it was really more Wowies Zowies when it kind of took off for me. That was the first tour I saw them. Like that was, so you
got to experience it in real time.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. Not quite slanted. So I'm not that.
No,
cool.
but Wowie Zowie, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So on that tour, when you went to that tour, what were you thinking?
Well, I was just obsessed with going to shows and seeing bands. And I was pretty psyched to get a ticket. I'm from Ohio originally.
Okay.
And so I was pretty psyched to get a ticket in Cleveland, which was still like 2 hours away from where I lived. And I was taking my little sister, and we were really excited. My dad even went along because he was worried about taking my 14-year-old sister to the big city. So yeah, I got to see them with Come and Dirty Three in the Algorra Theater or Algorra Ballroom, one of those in Cleveland. Okay. But yeah, I just listened to Pavement nonstop at the time, and it's like one of those, like, that's how I always picture them. They're just, that's that night. And I've seen them plenty of times since, but yeah.
What other shows have you seen?
So I saw that one, and then like that summer I saw them at Lollapalooza. It was before the infamous West Virginia mud fight. But It was like when they came on right after Sinead O'Connor. She was still on the tour at the time. And then I saw them like, so what was after that? Like Bright in the Corners. I saw them a couple times on that tour. Like
Dude.
kind of, yeah. And then I saw them, there's like one or two other times in there. And then I remember I did the one that really sticks out to me. There was, I saw their last North American show before when they we thought they split up the first time.
Right.
For Twilight in Cincinnati, Ohio at Bogart's.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I saw that. And then we thought, oh, is this the end? And, and then it was like maybe a couple weeks later, he did that infamous show somewhere in England where he's like, had
the Burstyn
handcuffs.
Academy.
Yeah. He had handcuffs and everything. And, so I saw him right before all that. And then I've seen him, like I saw him twice on their first reunion tour. And then I saw him once, like the year before last. And I haven't been able to make any of the others since, but yeah. So I've seen him a few times.
Oh yeah, you've seen him a lot. That's great. And different eras as well. So
yeah.
Very cool. My first time was the first reunion, right? So that was my first time seeing them.
Well, the reunion shows were like, they're just so tight and so together. Some of the early shows, they were sort of a mess. Like I remember once watching Steven kicking Steve West off the kit and to show him how the part was supposed to be played.
What?
Because they kept starting the song and he kept screwing it up. So he's like, no. And he went back there and he played the part. And then he went back behind his mic and got his guitar. And then I guess Steve played it the right way.
Holy shit. I've never heard that story.
Yeah. That was in Columbus, Ohio. I think that was a Brighton, the Corners tour, I think. Yeah.
Damn. So what are your go-to tracks these days? Go-to records, rather.
So it always kind of like changes, but I tend to be like between Crooked Rain and Wowie Zowie, back and forth. I just Crooked Rain's like a perfect album. Like
Agreed.
Perfectly well, I think Pavement's secret is that they sequence every album perfectly. Like sometimes the songs, like sometimes there's weird stuff in between, and sometimes the songs are hits, but like it's just perfectly sequenced. And Crooked Rain's just a perfect record. I think Wowie Zowie is just like bizarre and all over the place, but still like well sequenced. And then my only issue with Wowie Zowie is that I think it finishes with like 3 or 4 closers. So it's like you hit one of those like last 3 or 4 tracks and you're like, oh yeah, that was great. Oh, here's, like, oh, that's a great way to close. And then they have another. So yeah.
That's awesome. Was there anything else you want to share about your Pavement Origin Story?
Oh, I just think, this was like, Pavement was a band that like sort of binded my brother and sister and I together. We just, they're sort of the weird sets of humor. They're sort of strange, like sports fans. We all have like weird interactions with them here and there that we just kind of, I don't know, we're all awkward, socially awkward. And so like it, so, I don't know. We just kind of like, this oddball group that just always spoke to all of us and sort of held us all together.
That's really cool that you're into it with your brother and sister. Are they both younger than you, or?
Yeah, they are.
Sister?
Yeah,
Oh,
my
okay.
brother's like 1.5 years younger. My sister's like, I don't know, 5.5 years younger.
So you got to show them the way.
Well, like I said, they introduced me at first, but then this was a band we kind of all like became obsessed with kind of together. So yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Cool. Well, shall we take a quick break and come back and talk about track number 32?
That sounds great.
All right. Well, we'll do that. We'll see you on the other side.
Hey, this is Bob Nastanovich from Pavement. Thanks for listening. And now on with a countdown.
32.
Come on in. architecture. Walk the marble malls, the monuments to those who fall. And it's a pocket lesson, narco shelving. Strip the crib and the others are up. And the hood's so rad, and I'm fucking glad. Glad to see that I know what it means to take a life. Grave architecture. Grave architecture. Oh, past strip. Is it old? Am I clipped? Am I just a phantom waiting to be gripped around on shady ground? And the lampshades poised on the overwhelmed crooks that need the talent to breed and take a life.
Song number 32 on the countdown comes from Pavement's masterpiece, well, one of them, Wowie Zowie. At track 32, we have the song Grave Architecture.
Come on in. Yeah, sorry. Let's try to sneak that in. Yeah.
Oh, damn. I stepped on it.
That's okay. I should have prepared you.
What are your initial thoughts of Grave Architecture?
This was a funny one that that when you sent it to me, I have a long, like I think I said before, I think the album that I really kind of really felt like really grabbed me was Wowie Zowie. And yeah, this song's like the come on in, like right away, like, oh yeah, and humanities. So it always sticks with me that way.
Yeah. It's always very cool when you can bring something cool into school, right?
Yeah. Well, and actually, I didn't mention this before, but I'm actually a fourth grade teacher.
Ah.
And periodically I'll have Pavement playing when the kids come in. But like, what's this? I'm like, don't worry about it. It's Pavement. But I guess back to the song. So it's kind of that, it's kind of like, I always felt the song was kind of jazzy, kind of like the 5 - 4 = unity from Crooked Rain. Like it has a bit of that you kind of like groove to it. And then almost from the beginning, he's going, saying grave architecture, and that whole like the jerky, sort of segmented way, Mal like sort of phrases things and songs, like especially when he's live and he's playing around with it. That's always like that's how I sing half the songs I sing along to. So I just that always touched me. But yeah, I don't know. I just love the song. It just grooves. Like, yeah, you can just kind of sway back and forth and just kind of take it in. Yeah. So, and then like, I thought a lot about what it meant. And a lot of these songs, like I kind of put my own, I'm sure this is not what they think, but I always think of like when I hear this grave architecture and walk the marble malls, I think of the monuments and the buildings in our world that were built by the, say, super rich in their name and are sort of left there as their monument. And, the rest of us, sad folk don't have anything like that. And so
No.
they sort of left their imprint everywhere. And you sort of, you walk through it and it's imposing everywhere. And they're almost like graves, literally, only to maybe their money or to their wealth. He even says like stiff the crypt. So I'm like already, it's like still graves are in my head. Yeah, there's just a bunch of like little things like that in the song that I really appreciate.
Yeah, little breadcrumbs, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because nothing is ever straightforward with SM.
Oh, no. And I think it's probably why we all love them.
I think so too. Yeah, you have to do a little bit of digging, a little bit of investigative work. Not the first song that he mentions architecture either, which is interesting.
Yeah. Oh, what was that? Oh, was that? I'm terrible at song names. You're just gonna have to name it.
Oh shit.
I thought I'd written it down, but I guess I hadn't. I'm so bad at song
with an
names.
itch they cannot scratch. God, what song is it? Is it the Hacks?
Oh yeah. I just when I was trying to research a little bit, I read that same line. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. But yeah, I think he mentions art throughout, art and architecture and all these sorts of things. He's married to an artist. Like it's a huge piece of him or part of him. And then I think the history. I believe he was he like a history major at Virginia or something like.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Uncool and underqualified to the bitter end.
No, that's all right. Half the stuff, like I said, I talk out my ass still. But then there's like later, there's lines, it's like, found on shady ground. And that's reminded me of hallowed ground and sort of like as opposed, like there's a little bit of critique in here. I always heard too, there's like, Anne needs the talent to breathe. I always said that. I still sing it this way: is breed, needs the talent to breed. Which I'm sure is breathe, but I also know that sometimes Malcolm S plays with words that way, and so I always just think like, oh yeah, okay, so you could breed. There's more of you. You pass on your wealth when you're not building, or whatever it is.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was fun to be able to kind of revisit a song that actually does. I have thought about and have loved for a long time.
Yeah, I always get worried when I do these that, somebody's going to get matched up with a song that they just don't vibe or resonate with. But that's so cool to think that you took this one, and talked about it in class.
Yeah. I won't tell you how old I am, but yeah, it was when I was in college, sure. And I remember my girlfriend at the time was just like, I don't know how he knows all this stuff. And I'm talking about Sonic Youth and Velvet Underground and trying to like make it all connect. And somehow I thought Pavement was important they are, in retrospect, they're super important in all this, but at the time they probably, they could have not been important. They just were. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're important to a lot of us. That's
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you think this song lands on the countdown? It comes in at 32. Is it properly rated? Is it overrated? Is it underrated? What do you think?
I think somewhere in the middle makes sense. Because I think once you start naming other songs, you're like, oh, yeah, I like that one better. Or, so I think somewhere here in the middle makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems about right to me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I have to confess, I did not submit a list.
Well, that's fine.
I know, I got really busy, and so I felt bad. But and I also like if I ranked them, I would just change my mind the next day. And
I think so too.
so I think 32 just sounds great.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else you want to mention about Grave Architecture? Any memorable live performances of it, or?
I mean, I honestly, I go back to that first show. I remember these kids made the band T-shirts, like they ironed on Pavement, and so they're wearing homemade T-shirts, and just like every song in that set was just perfectly placed. Grave Architecture had its spot. I remember just even fans around, like we were all kind of like shouting out what we thought would come next, and it just all made sense. And Grave Architecture is just like, I just think it fits perfectly on Wowie Zowie. If there's one thing, like, I know it's all over the place, but there's a few tracks that really tie it together. Yeah. And I think Grave Architecture is and I think it's right in the middle of the album, if I remember correctly. And so it just fits and it just works. I think even when I look at the image of the album cover, like just something screams to me like like this whole album is Grave Architecture, I think, in a lot of ways. Even if it's not maybe my favorite or the best song in the album, it just is the album. It is Wowie Zowie.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I notice over your left shoulder you've got that Wowie Zowie. Oh, and you've got the Bright in the Corners and Crooked Rain as well.
Yeah, and I've got it slanted over there. I only have like four. The Steve King, the guy who did the painting. Yeah. He did like recently, well, he started selling things on eBay. And so I was able to score like a set of 4 of these. Like they're great. And it was like super reasonable. He even like people kept outbidding me. And he's like, don't worry, I'll make it work. And so he made sure that I got these 4 paintings. And then they even put out an art book of all of his stuff recently.
Yeah.
It's just loaded. I don't know if you've seen it. You probably have. Like it's just loaded with like a bunch of Pavement artwork. A bunch of those. Have you ever seen they made, I think it was for Bright in the Corners, they made like these signs that stand up, freestanding signs. And it's painted in his style, like he's done it. And they were like they were sent out to different record stores around the country as part of the promotion for Bright in the Corners. And there's a few people that still have them. They're like every once in a while you see one online. But yeah, his paintings are great. They're like super affordable. Yeah. So yeah, Wowie Zowie got me into his art. And so yeah.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great. Well, speaking of great, it's been great talking to you today. And I really appreciate your time. And I really appreciate you doing this. It's a lot of heavy lifting on your end. For me, it's like a vacation. Like I'm used to doing these alone. So to have somebody to bounce things off of, somebody as passionate as yourself, that's a lot of fun. So thank you very much.
Oh yeah. Thanks, JD. Thanks for having me.
Do you have anything that you need or want to plug?
Man, I wish I did. I used to blog a lot. Like I used to have a blog where I was breaking down each Pavement song. And I only got like 30 or 40. You're like way better at this than I am. And then I started doing a blog that was called, the original title was Building Coalitions Through Beer and Pavement. Now it's just called Beer and Pavement. But I haven't updated it in forever. But some people might know it. Some people might not care. But that's it. I don't have time. I have kids and I teach, so I don't have time.
Yeah, you're busy as hell. Well, once again, thanks so much. And we'll talk to you on the flip side.
All right. Thank you.
And wash your goddamn hands. Thanks for listening to Meeting Malcolmus, a Pavement podcast, where we count down the top 50 Pavement tracks, as selected by you. If you've got questions or concerns, please shoot me an email, jd@meetingmalcolmus.com. Hoorah! podcasts and such.